Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day, wherever you are in the world. I appreciate it. I really, really do appreciate it as we're talking about spyware today, a topic that is seems to be everywhere in the news. My name is Richard Mellick. I'm the director of mobile threat intelligence here at Zipurium. Um, you're welcome to reach out to me over LinkedIn, over chat inside here, or even connect with our company, and there will be some information at the end. Now, some quick notes about the webinar. Webinar is being recorded, so for if some sad reason you have to leave us, it's okay. The recording will be sent to you, and you can share it. You can watch it. Something good to catch up on. Good holiday spirit story you tell over the fire about spyware. Why we should be scared of what's coming. In other news, I'm the only presenter on this one, so if there are questions that you have throughout the whole presentation, throw them into the Q&A box that is attached to Bright Talk. I will answer them as best as I can throughout the presentation. I'm monitoring it, or I will finish up answering the questions as well. But let's go ahead and get started. Today's topic: spyware for sale, the growing threat to mobile security. Let's start out by defining what spyware is. Spyware can come in various names and forms. Stalkerware, family tracking, employee tracking. All these keywords deliver results linking to software that is, without a doubt, designed for spying. Many are offering obfuscation techniques and customizations to hide their true motives and from the victims, ultimately allowing the spyware to continue to stay active on the mobile device without the victim knowing. And these are just the commercially available solutions. Other softwares and examples exist on the dark web, often sold as pieces and components for attackers to assemble into their own custom applications and solutions. Spyware is designed to just do just that: spy. It's an invasion of privacy of the end user, compromising existing controls, security layers to gather intelligence and deliver the data to the command and control server. Now, whether that is managed by a corporation, an attacker, a government entity, or more, ultimately, this is not just a consumer only problem. The examples that we're going to be talking about today are available to the highest bidder. And sometimes it isn't even the most advanced spyware that is being used against enterprises, consumers, individuals, and other government entities. Now, spyware campaigns like Phone Spy, which we discovered last year, put enterprises at as much, if not more, risk than consumers. The rise of bring your own device policies have blurred the line between work and personal data, and any compromise to the security of an enterprise connected device puts all corporate data at risk. Spyware has the capabilities to read corporate messages, install compromised versions of enterprise applications, and download locally stored data like documents and photos without the enterprise or end user knowing. The capability to turn on the mobile camera, microphone during in-person meetings is also a high risk to businesses. These capabilities, mixed with the common framework and approach that spyware provides, can impact the enterprise's security, reveal critical and private data, and lead to loss of customers, research, and data. One other element to that is trust. If ultimately you have spyware on an employee's device, can you trust that employee? Can you trust the data that they have access? No, you have data governance issues. And the dominoes continue to fall. This isn't just a point of failure like a phishing link would provide. This is a point of failure that leads to full data compromise and concern. So let's start with some fun quotes. It's a presentation from me if there are fun quotes. There will come a time when it isn't they're spying on me through my phone anymore. Eventually, it will be my phone is spying on me. This comes from the author of The Man in the High Castle. The spyware revolution has emerged as a byproduct of the convergence of technological, social, and political developments over the past decade. Smartphones and other digital devices are vulnerable to surveillance because the applications often contain flaws and because they are continuously transmitting data through insecure cellular and internet devices or internet networks. Now, although manufacturers of these technology platforms employ engineers to find and patch vulnerabilities, they tend to prioritize product development over security. They lack a security mindset in their DevOps process. Now, by discovering and weaponizing 0 days and other vulnerabilities, even vulnerabilities that may not have been patched but are known, software flaws are known. These software flaws that are known by their designers, spyware firms exploit the inherent insecurity of the digital connected world. So, how did we get here? Now, this is a interesting story. It's going to take us all the way back to 1971. In 1971, the first malware was made, and it was a mistake. It was a self-replicating worm called Creeper. And a scientist decided to see if they could make this worm, this message, appear across the full network of their university's computers. Now it's 1971, so we're all imagining the black screens, the green font. Up would pop a little message: "I am the Creeper." Well, because there was no other examples of this kind of worm, self-replicating worm, the creator didn't actually know that he needed to make a stop to it, create a way to end it. And so Creeper kept replicating and replicating and replicating and replicating and replicating. And oddly enough, in 1971, out of Creeper came the first antivirus called Reaper. Kind of funny. Reaper killed Creeper. But in 1974, that theory, that content was weaponized. Rabbit was deployed out, and it didn't do anything except multiply and spread to other machines and overwhelm the devices. It was truly maliciousness to be malicious. There was no external idea of, I'm going to exploit, I'm going to steal. I just want to be malicious. Now, in 1989, that's when we see the first example of weaponization. Now, some of you may have been around for this. Some of you may have read about this. It's called the PC AIDS virus. And what it was a researcher that was part of the World Health Organization's research and doctors group for research on AIDS, sent this little 5.5-inch floppy drive disk out to everyone in the mailing list, saying, "Hey, this is part of our research, and your data that you submit through this survey, through this program that I've created, is going to help our research against AIDS." They would put the 5-inch floppy into their computer, and it would pop up a message and saying they had to send $189 to the PC Cyborg Foundation in Panama City, Panama, in order to get their machine, or in order to access their machine again. 1989 was the first realization of ransomware. And from there, we get to what we are dealing with today in the terms of the commoditization. From the dark web to forums to Reddit to GitHub and repositories everywhere there in between, malware is for sale. On the mobile side, banking Trojans, rats, spyware, theft, lockers, everything is accessible. Exploits are for sale. The commoditization of the malicious market is here, and it's here to stay because it is big business. There are stories out there of organizations making hundreds of millions of dollars of selling exploits, off selling base level code, off taking advantage of exploits within bank transfers. And it's never going to end. And we're going to cover a couple of the financial gains organizations have made over the past couple of years, just in the mobile security side, that has led to larger scale impact. So what does the mobile space look like in terms of zero-day exploits? Because this is a key function towards spyware, especially on the commercial side, especially on the stuff that is attacking enterprises and governments alike. Let's talk about zero-day exploits. Now, Google's Project Zero has a wonderful tracker, so all this data is from Google Project Zero. But this bar graph represents the mobile-specific zero-day exploits that have been detected in the wild and used in real life attacks. Now, 2016, there were three. Those three are all related to one specific campaign, Pegasus. We've all heard about Pegasus, and we're going to talk about Pegasus more today. We've all heard about it. It's been in the news. We didn't see anything in 2017, 2018. Now, that doesn't mean they didn't exist, that they just weren't discovered, they weren't reported outwards. 2019, we saw three go to four. 2020, we're back down to three. In 2021, we saw a 466% increase in zero-day exploits against mobile devices. 18 zero-day exploits, accounting for 30% of all zero-day exploits against mobile or against all enterprise devices used and tracked by Google Project Zero. So 30% was mobile. And this year already, actually, I guess it's not really already, it's December. We're at 9. Now, that's a little bit of a drop from last year's 18, 50% drop, but still accounts for 30%, a little over 30% of the zero-day exploits targeting internet-connected devices. Now, these zero-day exploits are available for sale. There's a black market of open and advertising the prices that they will pay for specific exploits. Now, I know some of you are sitting here thinking, oh, Richard, that's fine. These are all related to one operating system or another. But the reality is that iOS accounts for over 66% of all zero-day exploits used in the wild. Now, that we could get into that, the whole other webinar, a whole other conversation talking about why. But the fact of the matter is that no matter if you have an Android or an iOS device, it is not fully secure. And there are zero-day exploits out there that we don't know about that are potentially impacting us on a daily basis. These are the market leaders that we're going up against. These organizations represent a small number of companies that have existed, still exist, or remnants of still exist today that are impacting the mobile security space. I'm going to start with the hacking team. Now, since 2003, mobile devices have been under attack by corporate espionage groups established to target the data-packed devices in our pockets. This is not a phone. It's a computer, and we have to remember that. From governments to corporations, big customers came forward to purchase their services, their software packs, and even just the base level exploits to collect the private data from mobile devices. Hacking Team was founded in 2003 and was among the very first companies to focus solely on developing software designed to hack and spy on computers, and then later on mobile devices. In the 2000s, Hacking Team went from selling only to Italian agencies to selling to Spain's National Intelligence Agency, and later to the police and spies of 41 different countries in its heyday up until 2015. Now, the organization later sold to another company, and by 2020, the founder of Hacking Team says Hacking Team is dead. Down in the second row, the second one in, that's a little square icon, that's Quadream. Quadream, very little known about them, but they were founded in 2016 by a former Israeli military official and 2 former NSO employees, right above them. Over the last 6 years, the firm has delivered powerful spyware, giving its users access to targets' email, photos, text, contacts, and instant messages, even in spite of what should have been end-to-end encryption promised by services like WhatsApp, Telegram, and Signal. Over here in the bottom right corner, DSIRF. In July of 2022, Microsoft's Threat Intelligence Center issued a report on the Austrian-based spyware and hack-for-hire firm called DSRIF that had targeted individuals in banks, law firms, and consultancies in several countries, going after businesses. And though Microsoft did not specify what type of clients hired DSRIF, the firm advertises due diligence services to businesses, implying that these hacking operations were undertaken on behalf of private clients. So they weren't just selling the product, they were selling the service itself. Now we'll cover a couple of these other groups. Intellexa, they're big in the news, or constantly in the news. NSO Group, as we all hear, Sub-Zero. I'm going to a little bit of them a little bit later. But these organizations represent a small handful of the spyware delivering organizations out there. Now, whether you like him or not, no matter where you are with Edward Snowden, this quote, it hits. No one is safe from the out of control designer spyware industry. This is not a market that we can just, we have to go on the dark web and speak in code. These services, these software packs, they are available to anybody with credit cards. You could even purchase spyware with PayPal. You don't need Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, or anything else. There's receipts, there's marketing messages. There are even pitch decks that we have obtained in part of our research that show just how expensive these services are and how tailored they can be to your need as an organization, as an enterprise, if you're targeting somebody or another organization. So Project Raven. In 2016, the organization Dark Matter took on operations of Project Raven, described outwardly as an effort to assist the UAE with the development of defensive cyber measures to combat terrorism. This is a common theme. Starts out with the idea we're going to combat terrorism. But according to 9 former team members that were interviewed, a follow-on briefing for new employees revealed that the true purpose of Project Raven was to support offensive cyber operations for the National Electronic Security Authority. In other words, proactive intelligence collection gathering. Spyware. The group ultimately provided UAE intelligence services with the ability to access smartphones and mobile devices remotely using zero-day exploits. Raven's targets eventually would include militants in Yemen, foreign adversaries such as Iran, Qatar, and Turkey, and individuals who criticized the monarchy. And in 2016 and 2017, it was used against hundreds of targets across the Middle East and Europe, including governments of Qatar, Yemen, Iran, and Turkey again. Now, Raven used Karma, which is their own internal product, to hack an iPhone used by the Emir of Qatar, as well as phones of close associates of his brother. Now, this is an organization. This is a company. They have assets. And as of last year, their cyber activities had been transferred to a new group called Digital 14, which now distributes a secure communication system. It's all business. And it's in the business of theft. Pegasus. What can we say about Pegasus that hasn't already been said? Now, let's give a quick history on it. Pegasus resurged in the news last year after a French journalism nonprofit called Forbidden Stories, alongside Amnesty International, obtained a list of 50,000 phone numbers believed to be targeted by surveillance by the group NSO Group. And their customers by NSO Group customers and shared with media outlets through 10 countries. It was a massive investigation campaign by leading news authorities. Now, this massive data leak revealed an iOS spyware malware called Pegasus, which we have known about since 2016, but was still being used. And had been used by authoritative governments as well as non-government entities to target over 50,000 journalists, activists, and legal professionals from over 50 countries. Pegasus, which was produced and distributed by the Israeli surveillance group NSO Group, is malware that infects iOS and Android devices, enabling attackers to steal critical and private data, including phone calls, photos, and messages. Now, they were doing this infection through a zero-day exploit that would deliver a message, a non-clickable or unclickable zero-day exploit to iMessage, and would activate without the user having to do anything. Now, most of the EU countries actually had contracts with the company. 14 countries have done business with the NSO in the past, and at least 12 are still using Pegasus for lawful interception of mobile calls. NSO works with 22 end users, security and intelligence organizations, and law enforcement authorities in 12 European countries. And in some of those countries, there is more than one client. Now, although NSO claims its technology doesn't work against US phone numbers, the latest reporting finds that it has been used to target US citizens and foreigners based in the United States who use foreign cell phones. It's kind of an interesting aspect. Now, despite the fact that they are constantly in the news, constantly under attack, uh, they're still active. Malware is still being distributed out. Spyware with Pegasus signature is still being distributed out by the clients, by the customers of NSO. And NSO right now is currently looking for a new buyer, a new owner. And despite the legal pressure, there are countries and organizations looking to pick it up, from defense organizations to not, some malicious teams as well. What about Predator? Predator, which is produced by a firm called Citrix, is almost identical to Pegasus Spyware made by NSO. Citrix is owned by a firm called Intelexia, which used to operate in Cyprus, but later moved on into Greece. It's run by a former Israeli military intelligence officer as well. Now, according to analysis by Google's Threat Advisory Group and Citizen Labs, Citrix sold its spyware to government-backed actors in Egypt, Armenia, Greece, Madagascar, Serbia, Spain, Indonesia, and more. And because they were using Facebook or Meta's services through WhatsApp as part of the distribution, Meta got involved with the investigation as well, and they found that Predator customers in Vietnam, Philippines, and Germany as well. Now, Predator was distributing through WhatsApp, through Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, and unlike Pegasus, it couldn't silently infect the device, but instead relied on alert fatigue, a common social engineering technique that we are seeing more malicious actors use every single day to convince someone to finally click yes to engage with the service. Let's take it down to a regionally specific one, Phone Spy. Now, Phone Spy hides in plain sight, disguising itself as regular applications to be downloaded. But in reality, the application is stealing data, messages, and images, and enabling remote control of the devices. Now, unlike other spyware campaigns we have covered that take advantage of vulnerabilities on the device, Phone Spy is relying on the end user to be tricked, to engage with the application itself. The victims in South Korea were broadcasting their private information to malicious actors with zero indication that something was amiss. Now, upon discovery, we actually reported all this information to the federal authorities here in the United States, as well as South Korea. And inadvertently, the services were taken down. But the data that was stolen by Phone Spy was absolutely revealing of the individual's movement, their photos, their messages, and more. It was not an advanced campaign. It didn't use a zero-day exploit. It didn't use communication techniques to trick someone. It wasn't run by a government entity. It was privately run. But it impacted hundreds of thousands of victims in one country. And the news is everywhere. Cell phones in Spain's top officials were hacked by Israeli spyware. Russian-linked Android spyware takes control of camera and mics. Hermit, a powerful mobile spyware, is used against governments or by governments. Fake Android apps contain face stealer spyware. Apple and Android phones hacked by Italian spyware, Google says. Over there in the top left corner, receipt for €8 million iOS zero-day sale pops up on the dark web. Promise you we'd come back to that. $8 million paid for one zero-day exploit. And the receipts are out there. Whether these organizations are buying and selling the zero-day or the actual solution, they are all contributing to this idea that designer spyware is here to stay because it is big business. And just as they are trying to steal your data, your money, impact your operations, they're also trying to make money because being malicious is profitable. And it's accessible too. This is just a quick search. On the left, we have GitHub. Repositories of commonly updated, some of it even known, remote access Trojans and spyware. Now, here's the interesting thing that spyware, that malware on the mobile device introduces. We see a lot of remote access Trojans. Brata, for one, is one that comes to mind. That with a flip of a switch could turn from being a remote access Trojan to being spyware. They have the capabilities because they have the access enabled. They have the ability to download. They have the ability to access the photos, the text messages, read the screen, and more. And all it takes is a small change in the code, which can be found anywhere on the web through a simple Google search to define how do we change this remote access Trojan, this bank bot, or more into something even more malicious. But if you're not a coder, don't worry. Don't worry. A quick Google search will bring up a list of the best phone spy apps as reported by some of the leading tech magazines. Now, as I said at the beginning, spyware can be everything from nanny watchers to spying, tracking your children or family members to tracking your employees. But it all has the inherent same properties: tracking data, revealing your information, and delivering it to a command and control server that is outside the control of the end user of that device. And some of these, like XNS Spy, just had an article reported out yesterday about how they're using deceptive techniques to steal data from children without the children knowing, because they are hiding in plain sight. Even over here on the right, we have the Google result right there. Different monitoring software sold to you in a different way, but all through the search term phone spyware. It's a scary world out there. So who's buying this? Well, the market is defining it. Governments and non-government organizations are, along with contracted groups, you have contracted organizations working for the government, are common customers of mobile spyware solutions. They're the ones buying the most advanced spyware, but there is very little regulatory control that is actually managing and directing, and very little reporting onto how that spyware is being used. There are more than enough instances out there of showing how police organizations and some of these contracted groups are using spyware for their own advantage. Sometimes it's an end user wanting to spy on their spouse or former spouse. Sometimes it's an organization that's selling access to another company and delivering critical stolen data to a competing organization. That takes us over to the corporations that are buying it. As we're seeing, we're entering this market where privately owned organizations can access the services of hacker for hire groups. They don't have to get their hands dirty. They just have to say, hey, go get the data from this company. And there's a rise in this private focused spyware developers because the market is so large. The money is there to be made. And they're driving corporate espionage efforts and capabilities into the hands of enterprising businesses. And finally, there's individuals. Individuals are, spyware is readily available on the dark web, code repositories, forums, and even through simple searches. Any individual can get their hands on it. They can purchase it with PayPal. They can purchase it with their credit card. It's not that difficult to do. And they are provided customer support, translation services, and more, enabling them to be malicious, either against family members, employees, or even former employers. They're looking to steal the data and use it against the victims in one way or another. Don't know why my quote just got misplaced in that, but there is no place where espionage is not possible. Sun Tzu, Art of War. Espionage has been part of our world for thousands of years, and it's going to continue to be part of it. But as we continue to use and entrust these devices that we hold in our hands with all of our data, personal and corporate owned, as we continue to drive the adoption of the connected world, we need to be aware how that data, if given to the wrong person, can be used against us. And how easy it would be for somebody who wanted that data to purchase a solution, an exploit, or a service to target us. It's not going to cost them 8 million euros. it might cost them $7 a month. So, how do you stand up against it? You stand up against it by applying the same mindset, the same security mindset that you have on your traditional endpoints, your traditional laptops, to your mobile devices. You provide advanced mobile threat defense powered by machine learning that understands what a threat looks like on the device without the need for a cloud-based lookup. You enable that on your mobile device. That's what we do. As Imperium, we have our product Zips, which is mobile threat defense. And it is able to detect and prevent all the examples of this spyware that I've gone through. Pegasus, for example, we had found that it was detected way before it even had the name in 2016, all based off the machine learning engine that we have developed and patented to enable the mobile device to stay ahead of the modern day attack. It sounds familiar, I hope, because that is the same mindset the security operations teams and CISOs and even IT management teams are applying to laptops, desktops, and servers. Stay ahead of the threat, get the threat telemetry, get the data, know what's attacking it, know how to prevent it, and respond accordingly. And that's what we're doing. We're providing that with the Mobile Protection 360 platform. Everything from your mobile applications to your mobile endpoints, we are able to enable defense measures inside your code of your application, as well on the device directly. And if you need more, we have threat research and services available to you. Here at Imperium, we secure mobile. That's what we do. And we've been doing it for 13 years. I appreciate your time today. If you have any questions at any time about anything that I talked about, please reach out to us, info@zimperium.com. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter as well. We are always active there. You can reach out to me directly, richard.mellick@zimperium.com. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful holiday season. Thank you.